This is your weekly report on corruption in the Philippine government. The National Police Commission has dismissed a viral cop who criticized top officials of the Philippine National Police for their alleged hand in the arrest of former President Rodrigo Duterte. During the deliberations on Wednesday, the Napolitan Bank found Patrolman Francis Steve Fontillas guilty of grave misconduct, conduct unbecoming of a police officer, and disloyalty to the government. The commission also perpetually disqualified Fontillas from returning to public service. Duterte was taken into custody by the International Criminal Court on the 11th of March, following an arrest warrant issued by the International Criminal Police Organization against him. The former president was flown to The Hague and is now awaiting trial for crimes against humanity, specifically regarding the killings that occurred during his administration's war on illegal drugs. Fontillas also criticized the ICC and Interpol but resigned on the 10th of April after his tirades against Duterte's arrest went viral. Napolitan Vice Chairperson and Executive Officer Rafael Vicente Calinizan, however, said Fontillas' resignation won't free him from administrative and criminal charges. Since Fontillas was already formally charged in the Napolitan before his resignation, the Napolitan already acquired jurisdiction over his person. Thus, no matter what Fontillas claims, he cannot conveniently escape liability through resignation, and was thus made liable, as he should be. Calinizan said, "While we wanted to be kind given Fontillas' condition, the paramount interest of the Filipino people is what is at stake. The Napolitan exercises administrative control and operational supervision over the PNP under the Constitution." Calinizan said Napolitan will go hard against rogue cops who would tarnish the uniform and erode the public trust. Former Tagbilaran City, Bohol Mayor John Gisnal Baba Yap II faces a disqualification complaint after he was allegedly caught on video promising cash incentives to voters. In a joint affidavit filed by 5 residents and registered voters of Barangay Bilizon, Panglao, Bohol, Yap, who is running for congressman in the 1st District of Bohol, is accused of publicly offering money in exchange for votes during a campaign engagement captured on video. The complaint stated that Yap's act was considered vote buying and a violation of the Omnibus Election Code. The complainants, Alfeo Estalogo Usaraga, Albert Gibbon Bompert, Renato Aranel Sarahina, Olimpio Boneo Bompert, and Ursula Hormachulas Bompert, testified under oath that they personally viewed a video posted on the Facebook page Voice of Boholanon on the 26th of April. In the video, Yap is seen and heard declaring in Boholano, 2 months from now, Baba Yap will return. I will give 5,000 pesos, but if it is a senior citizen, I will give 20,000 pesos. A senior citizen already clapped at the back. The complainants claimed this statement was clearly made in the context of campaign activities and was intended to influence or induce voters, a violation of Section 261 of Batas Pambansa Bilang 881 of the Omnibus Election Code that prohibits vote buying. The video, which remains accessible via the Facebook page, was cited as key evidence. The complainants asserted that the footage is genuine, unaltered, and accurately represents the events as they transpired. They authenticated the video evidence in their affidavit and attested to its accuracy and relevance in support of their petition to disqualify Yap from the congressional race. The document was signed and sworn before a notary public in Tagbilaran City. If found guilty of vote buying, Yap could face disqualification under Section 68 of the Omnibus Election Code. Police arrested a government employee for grave threats and gun ban violation after he was involved in a traffic accident on the 7th of May. Taguig police identified the suspect as alias Reynaldo, 28, who was arrested in Barangay Central Bacutan for grave threats and violating Republic Act 10591, Comprehensive Firearms and Ammunition Regulations Act, in relation to Republic Act 7166, Omnibus Election Code. Reynaldo was involved in a traffic accident and was found to be under the influence of alcohol. He had a heated argument with a complainant, police said. The suspect alighted from his vehicle, drew his firearm and cocked it while uttering offensive and threatening words. The complainant, who was with a witness, immediately requested assistance from the police that resulted in the arrest of the suspect and recovery of the gun. Reynaldo is under the custody of Taguig police. Charges will be filed against him. Former Philippine Amusement and Gaming Corporation Chairman Ephraim Ginuno and 4 other former top officials of the state gaming firm have been sentenced to over 100 years of imprisonment for multiple counts of graft and malversation involving the alleged misuse of 50.05 million pesos in agency funds. In a 257-page decision promulgated yesterday, the Sandiganbayan 3rd Division found Janino, former Philippine Charity Sweepstakes Office President and Chief Operating Officer Rafael Francisco, former Senior Vice President for Administration Rene Figueroa, former SVP for Corporate Communication Services Edward King and former Assistant Vice President for the Internal Audit Valente Custodio guilty of 5 counts each of violating Republic Act 3019 or the Anti-Graft and Corrupt Practices Act. They were also convicted of 5 counts of malversation of public funds under Article 217 of the Revised Penal Code. For the graft charges, each was sentenced to 6 to 10 years in prison per count and perpetually disqualified from holding public office. For malversation, the penalties imposed were 10 to 17 years of imprisonment for 2 counts, 6 to 11 years for 1 count and reclusion perpetua, or 20 to 40 years for the remaining 2 counts. They were also ordered to pay a total fine of 45.17 million pesos. Despite the cumulative sentences, they will not serve the entire period in prison. Under Article 70 of the Revised Penal Code, the maximum period of imprisonment for a felony in the Philippines is 40 years. The court also ordered the temporary archiving of cases against former PCSO Vice President for the Accounting Department Esther Hernandez, who remains at large. Her cases may be revived upon arrest or voluntary surrender. In convicting Januno and the other officials, the court ruled that the prosecution, led by the Office of the Ombudsman, sufficiently proved that they conspired in the irregular disbursement of 50.05 million pesos in PCSO funds between 2005 and 2008. These disbursements were allegedly used to purchase tarpaulins, shirts, caps and other promotional items, as well as fund activities of the Bida Foundation, an organization founded by Janino in 2003. The court said these purchases did not undergo public bidding or proper processing by PAGCO's procurement department. Instead, the accused officials resorted to shopping or small value procurement without valid justification. Most notably, there was a lack of public bidding. The huge amounts disbursed for Bida members' identification cards and pins, 2,315,625 pesos, 771,875 pesos and 8,820,000 pesos, all exceeded the threshold amount that would warrant resort to alternative modes of procurement. The 3rd Division's decision read, the Commission on Audit had flagged the disbursements, noting that the funds were not properly liquidated. However, Janino and his co-accused were acquitted of 14 other counts of graft and 15 counts of malversation related to separate transactions. These include donations totaling 44.05 million pesos to various private entities including Bida Foundation, the purchase of 26.7 million pesos worth of tickets for the 2008 film Bala, a co-production between Viva Communications and Bida and Tree Media, advertisements for Bida amounting to 63 million pesos in 2008 to 2009. The Sandiganbayan ruled that the prosecution failed to present sufficient evidence to prove guilt beyond reasonable doubt in those specific cases. The Ombudsman earlier alleged that Janino diverted PAGCO funds to Bida Foundation to support its bid for a seat as party list in the House of Representatives during the 20th of May 10 elections. Bida, however, lost. The National Police Commission yesterday vowed to achieve zero backlog in the number of administrative cases against members of the Philippine National Police pending before the NAPOLCOM by the end of the year. At a press conference, NAPOLCOM Vice Chairman Rafael Calinasan admitted that thousands of cases have been pending before the Commission for years. In fact, the other day, we resolved a case pending for 18 years and the other one for 21 years. I am now part of the Commission. I cannot point fingers. What we will do now, since I am now the head of NAPOLCOM as Vice Chairman and Executive Officer, we will clear all of this, Calinasan said. At the same time, he said the involvement of 15 members of the Valenzuela City Police, including the chief investigator, in robbery extortion was not an isolated case. I am very sad, bordering on anger, as this is not an isolated case. There must be reforms in the current setup of the PNP, Calinasan said. 3 of the officers were arrested in an entrapment operation conducted by the PNP Integrity Monitoring and Enforcement Group as well as other PNP units in Barangay Malinta on Wednesday. My instruction is to have zero backlog by the 20th of December 25. Our plan is, 60 days from the filing of the complaint, a decision should be issued. Justice must be rendered for both the complainant and the respondent. If you are innocent, your case will be finished. But if you are guilty, you will be removed from the service. It goes both ways, he added. He said the Napolcom is also reviewing the recruitment process of the PNP. Maybe there is something that we are missing. What we are looking into are two things. Is it a neuropsychological problem? Is there something wrong with the process? Then we will make it stricter, he said. A barangay chairman was shot dead by unidentified gunmen while entering the barangay hall in Barangay 2 here on Friday afternoon, the 9th of May. The police regional office 2 identified the victim as barangay chairman Bernardo Gacuan, 72. The victim was taken to a hospital in Tuguegarao City, Cagayan, where he was declared dead. The gunmen fled on both a blue and black Aerox motorcycle without license plates. The gunman was wearing a long-sleeved black top and grey jeans while his driver was clad in a black jersey tank top and black pants. Police Brigadier General Antonio Moralag Jr., PRO2 chief, said they are pursuing the suspects and conducting follow-up investigation. 2 City Hall personnel were killed while 5 others were hurt in a shooting incident in Salay City, Negros Occidental on Election Day on Monday, according to a report of GMA Regional TV1 Western Visayas Aileen Padrizo. The victims were having coffee when perpetrators aboard a van fired shots at them around 6 a.m. The victims were reportedly on duty to monitor any vote buying incidents in the area for election 2025. While there is no clear motive yet, a barangay captain in the city is being considered as a suspect behind the shooting incident, the report said. Police launched a hot pursuit operation against the suspect. Meanwhile, the 5 injured victims are still in the hospital for medical treatment. A teacher who was set to serve as an electoral board member at a school in Basilan was shot by unidentified assailants on Sunday, just a day before the national and local elections, according to Colonel J.J. Javines, spokesperson for the Western Mindanao Command. The female teacher was riding a motorcycle from Lantoan, Isabela earlier Sunday, the 11th of May, 2025 when she was ambushed in Barangay Sumagdang, Isabela City, Basilan. The teacher was supposed to serve at a school in Barangay Bangas, Lantoan during the election. West Mincom reported that the suspects are still unidentified, but the victim is receiving treatment at a hospital and is now out of danger. Colonel Javin stated, "We still need to investigate the motive behind the shooting. Fortunately, she is now out of harm's way." In response to the incident, the Armed Forces of the Philippines West Mincom has doubled security measures for those serving as electoral board members and other election-related assignments. The teachers will go with our security forces. We will have a convoy security, providing them with military escorts and military convoy aboard military vehicles, said Colonel Javines. A police officer and 2 individuals were killed in a shooting incident in Sitio Imus, Barangay Salmon, this town, before dawn on Sunday, the 11th of May. The slain police officer was identified as Police Staff Sergeant Dennis Jolioria, 33, assigned to the Tayug, Pangasinan Police Station. The suspects were identified as Michael, 49, of Barangay Santo Cristo, Baliawag, Bulacan, Rudy, 51, of Barangay Karasukan Norte, Asingan, Pangasinan, and Bernardo, 52, a retired Philippine Navy personnel, of Barangay Amancasiling Sur, Bayambang, Pangasinan. Probers said that the fatalities and suspects were on board 2 separate vehicles when they engaged in a heated argument. Both groups drew guns and fired at each other. 2 individuals were killed. Oria was driving his motorcycle on his way home and was about to verify the incident, but he was shot and killed by the suspects. The suspects were arrested by the police in a follow-up operation. Police recovered 4 short firearms and the vehicle used by the suspects. Further investigation is ongoing. Outgoing Cagayan Governor Manuel Mamba was recently sentenced to up to 6 years in prison in connection with a cyberbullying case filed by Presidential Chief Legal Counsel Juan Ponce Enrile. Mamba has maintained that his remarks against Enrile are not libelous, and that his camp has already appealed the decision of the Manila Regional Trial Court Branch 24. Judge Maria Victoria Soriano Villadolid found Mamba guilty of violating Republic Act 10175 or the Cybercrime Prevention Act of 2012. Judgment is hereby rendered finding accused Manuel Navino Mamba guilty beyond reasonable doubt of violation of Section 4, C, 4 of Republic Act No. 10175 or the Cybercrime Prevention Act of 2012. According to the court's ruling promulgated on the 11th of April, the Manila court has imposed an indeterminate penalty of 4 years, 2 months, and 1 day of prison time as a minimum and 6 years of prison time as a maximum. Mamba was also ordered to indemnify Enrile 150,000 pesos for moral damages, and 150,000 pesos for exemplary damages. "We just filed an MR on the same," Mamba said in a text message. We are still hoping that this will be considered, since I just quoted the Inquirer editorial describing him as an opportunist, utilitarian, and unprincipled. We find no malice in quoting the Inquirer editorial when he assumed the Senate presidency during President Gloria Macapagal Arroyo's incumbency," he added. When reached for comment, JPE's legal team replied, "Mamba brought this case upon himself. He unleashed those venomous, libelous words, owned up to them, and practically dead en rile to drag him into the courtroom, convinced he would slip free. But when justice was served and he was convicted beyond any reasonable doubt, he suddenly disowns those words, howls in protest, and clings desperately to an appeal. This is nothing but a coward's retreat from the very battle he provoked with reckless arrogance. Let the record be clear, as the court already ruled, Mamba's malice has been exposed, his true nature unmasked for all to see, and no appeal, no matter how fervent, can erase this undeniable truth," they added. Barangay Lantad, Salay City Negros Occidental Chairman Ani Benedicto voluntarily turned himself into authorities as he was linked to a shooting incident in Barangay Mambulac, Salay City, in which 2 people were killed on election day. Police Colonel Rainerio de Chavez, Negros Occidental Police, confirmed that Benedicto, assisted by his legal counsel, submitted himself for investigation on Monday afternoon. He is currently under the custody of the Criminal Investigation and Detection Group Negros Occidental in Bacolod City. The barangay official has yet to release a statement about the incident. De Chavez said that investigation is ongoing to determine Benedicto's alleged participation in the killing. Police are pursuing his 2 cohorts. Police suspect the killing is election-related. Follow-up investigation is ongoing. The Commission on Elections Negros Island region said that the elections in Negros Occidental was relatively peaceful despite the incident. Comelec NIR Assistant Regional Director Jothel Macut said that there was no other reported act of violence or act of terrorism in the province. Macut said authorities considered the incident in Salay City more of a peace and order concern rather than an electoral concern. He said that it did not hamper the conduct of the elections in the city and did not affect the total conduct of the elections in the province. It has little to minimal effect at all, he added. Macut said the incident happened a kilometer away from the polling center in Salay City, and did not result into any electoral concern as well as to other polling precincts. It just enhanced police and military presence, which adds more security to the people there voting, he added. The incident was hyped on social media, but it did not hamper the electoral process, according to Macut. However, since it happened on election day, the incident was still counted as an election-related case as it involved supporters of a political candidate, Macut said. Macut said that a thorough investigation is ongoing and assured that police is on top of everything. With the incident, Macut said that they might raise the category of Salay City from green to yellow or with a history of election-related incidents, or orange category or areas with existence of serious armed threats, in the next elections. That's all for this week. I'll see you next Friday with more stories of corruption and foolishness within the Philippine government.